Hello everyone. Welcome back to Anmoll Astrology channel. So this is the extended video for Saturn retrograde that is happening on 13th of July. I did a whole video, a 44 to 45 minutes long video to make you understand what is that this transit of Saturn, as in the reverse motion, the retrograde is going to do, what it means, what effects would it have, and also the Muhurta chart, right? So that's why now we shall quickly talk or go through all the ascendants. So remember, you need to check first from your ascendant and then from your moon sign. For example, if you are a Leo ascendant, then this would be the video for you, right? This would be the section of video for you. If you are a Leo moon and a Scorpio ascendant, you first have to see the Scorpio ascendant video, like Scorpio ascendant section, and then refer to the Leo section. Both are going to resonate with you. The priority is always with the ascendant first and then moon. Okay, so since we had the Muhurta chart to be Leo as the ascendant, let's start with Leo first of all. So very first zodiac sign that we are going to talk about is going to be Leo today, that how Saturn retrograde is going to affect Leo. So as discussed, Saturn retrograde is going to affect the sign of Aquarius and also the sign of Pisces where it is in. It's always that both the signs affect each other, both the houses, wherever they go, they affect each other and they have some karma in store for each other so as to be fulfilled. So it's like Saturn went on towards your 8th house, but then it was like that, oh, I forgot something in the previous house. I have to get that work done and then let's move forward. And also, so as to get that thing done, you have to use the existing house. You have to use the events of the existing house. So very first thing which I see for Leo ascendants is that they are definitely going through a extremely transformative timeline where they are basically evolving. They have been quite aggressive, quite reactive, but this Saturn is going to make you hold your horses for some time. Saturn going retrograde means now is your time to again deal with the criticism and the judgments that you are bound to get through the society and through your partners, so as to achieve your transformation or growth in either your businesses or your partnerships or within your relationships. You would require to make significant changes. You need to address your conflicts with other people. You need to reflect them. You need to go within them, heal your encounters, heal your interactions with people, heal all the obstacles, all the problems that you have been ghosting away or you have been lashing out with. You need to get those problems done and then move forward so as to stabilize your life. The focus is definitely going to be on the career and on the recognition, but things related to your personal relationships, your personal conflicts are going to hold you back from that progress. So that's why it needs you to acknowledge what is hidden within you. For example, there was a sense of dispute that you might have had with your ex. And just so that you can move on, just so that you can, go ahead with your life, you just shoved that particular feelings of yours, you just shoved that particular resentment or particular emotion of yours within you so as to go ahead. You now have to deal with it. You have to deal with re-encounters. You have to deal with people, and either Now the dealing could be a repetitive encounter with an ex. It could be either a repetitive encounter to go forward to something solid, or it could be a repetitive encounter for you to just get done with the things and start a new beginning. So many people who have been, you know, distancing themselves, or the other person is distancing with you in regards of relationships, I see you guys to re-encounter with those individuals. And also, if we think of your career, there are certain relationships within your career, or certain things that you have to do, you have to bring in within your career as a part of your routine or as a part of your efforts, and especially creative efforts or appreciative efforts. That is something you require to do, or get into your career so as to go forward with growth when it comes to your business or your work. Okay, just I need to pause for a second. And at the time of this Saturn going retrograde, Leo individuals are going to have Mars and Ketu in the ascendant, along with Sun and Jupiter in the 11th house. So definitely certain mending of things, certain, balancing of balancing of your relationships, your public relationships, networking can help you and benefit you. This Saturn retrograde is like it's the last opportunity that you have to mend your relationships, or for you to understand that how do you interact with people, how do you connect with individuals or others so as to grow as in a part of a partnership, a part of a unionship. So this is like a last chance for you to work on your desires when it comes to your partner, when it comes to your counterpart. But definitely your mind has to be towards dealing with the conflicts. It's not a time when you can run away from the situations. You have to acknowledge it. You have to be a part of it. You have to communicate. Okay, so that's for Leos. Now for Virgos. For a Virgo ascendant, Moon goes into the 5th house, that's in Dhanishta, and then the Saturn retrograde is happening in the 7th house. First of all, right now you feel quite disturbed and conflicted with your decisions. The decisions of your career, the decisions of your partnerships. This Saturn is again activating your 6th house. So it is again going to activate certain conflicts, disputes of your life. It's like that Saturn coming into the 7th house was going to give you growth, but then it paused. It was like that there is some things that are left behind that I have to get done with, that I have to deal with. Only after that, I will be able to start on new projects, start on new opportunities, and maybe a new business. Basically, when Saturn activates the 7th house, it does activate your growth in life. It does bring in a lot of criticism, it does bring in a lot of judgments from the people, but it's like you're constantly fighting against it. You're constantly fighting to achieve something regardless of people pushing you away. So Saturn getting activated, it is activating the 6th house where Rahu is. So it means that it is a time for you to work smartly, for you to be a smart individual and take smart decisions. This period of 138 days of Saturn retrograde is going to be extremely important on how you take your decisions. Your decisions, your stand, your authority is going to matter the most. It's like that how you deal with a conflict. It's like Saturn is now rechecking you that I did give you the karma with the conflicts, with the complications, with the debates, and with you seeking good nutrition for your health. Did you learn from it? It's like coming to recheck that. And if it finds that you haven't learned, you're still on the old patterns, it would definitely make you have again conflicts. And this time, these conflicts can involve your relationships, your marriage, or your partner, maybe a partnership business. So that's why it needs you to have a very analytical approach towards your decisions. And definitely, this is a highly, highly creative time. It would be lovely if you involve yourself into some hobby of yours or some technical creation, technical subjects. Maybe it's about learning astrology, maybe it's about learning music or learning creativity. But definitely, it's a testing time for you. The Saturn retrograde, it will give you repetitive encounters, and within those encounters, you are most probably, bound to get conflicts, or it is testing the way you deal with your problems in life. At the same time, you definitely have to be a bit more patient with Mars and Ketu in the 12th house. It's like sudden bursts it is giving you. Sudden burst of anger, sudden burst of pride. So whatsoever complications or whatsoever like debates or arguments or disputes that are going to arise, that would be led because of your overly proudy or aggressive nature. And be careful of your friend circle. There can be there can be someone deceptive within your friend circle. Okay. Now, next we have the sign of Libra. So for Libra individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the 6th house, affecting the 5th also along with it. Now, Rahu being in the 5th house and then Saturn also activating it by reversing its motion, it's like this is a conflicted time when it comes to your decisions, when it comes to your love encounters. This is a time for you to again deal with certain problems or certain fights that you basically lingered on in the past. This is a very vulnerable and fragile time, I feel, for the Librans, for the Libra individuals. I do feel there is also going to be opportunity of childbirth for Libra individuals. Maybe the pregnancy initiates during this time. But this, Libra people need to be quite careful of whom they encounter themselves in a love relationship. If you are a person who also invests into shares and speculations, I would suggest you to be a little slower for this retrograde period. Need to be very cautious with your investments, with everything during this timeline. This timeline would definitely make you involved into investments, but try and prefer to go for long-term investments. And this can definitely give you romantic encounters with past people, with the past lovers. This is a time of, I'm getting vibes like I told you, you guys are going to feel vulnerable, right? You're going to feel that something is not well within the home environment. So you'll be like, I need to go out, I need to get out of this situation. And for you to get out of this situation, you would want the attention. You would want the attention of someone. It's something like this which I'm getting. Along the other end, this also works extremely well for your creative endeavors. It is extremely good for research related work, and to learn something associated with research, like maybe astrology, maybe coding, decoding, maybe if you are an architecture, you are an architect, you would learn more technicalities of architecture. Definitely are going to have some complications with your colleagues. You're going to have some scenarios where your decisions are going to play a very important role. One bad decision and that is going to make a mess in front of you, right? But of course, the kind of time that you guys were having previously, because of Saturn's transit in the sixth house, you might feel relieved from it, because this is a time for you to be very occupied with learning, occupied with research. Okay, and be very careful of you know of romantic encounters and also sexual encounters, right? So you may get yourself hurt if that particular relationship is not something which aligns with your life purpose. So choose wisely that which person you wish to interact yourself with. Although on the other hand, the Sun and Jupiter in the ninth house still acts as a great savior for you, that howsoever worst situation it would be, things are going to work out eventually for you. Like luck would still be on your side. Only it's just whenever. And one more thing, I have been talking about decisions, for Libra individuals, because it's very important to you to understand how do you give your reactions, how do you make your certain decisions, and how do you creatively express yourself. That is your focus for this retrograde. But at the same time, because we have Sun and Jupiter in the ninth house, if you need guidance, get that guidance from your mother and your father, your parents. Your parents are going to guide you brilliantly. It's like this is a time where you can depend upon the guidance of the ones who love you more than you can depend upon your own decisions. You may also encounter ups and downs, or it's a voluntarily up and down that you might bring in within your career. There's transformations within your career. You might have this urge to do something new within your career. Okay, so as to bring some changes within your career, you would require to build a communication, build a platform for interaction with people, and also to learn something, to go back to school, to file for a diploma, or to maybe go for a for education, higher education. This is a very good time for all the Librans who might have been working since past years. This is actually a time when I see that you might take a gap and go back to school. This is a very prominent time for either childbirth, initiation of childbirth, or for a timeline to heal your love relationships, or a timeline where you go back to school and you complete your higher education, or you start with your higher education, for those who have not been into jobs, who have actually been on the journey of their studies. Okay, so next we have the sign of Scorpio. With Scorpio, Saturn is going retrograde in the 5th house. It activates the 4th house, and Rahu is coming into the 4th house. Whenever I see Rahu traveling into the moksha houses, I see a person experiencing psychological problems. By psychological problems, I feel I mean extreme mood swings, anxiety, amplification of one's emotions, and lack of confidence, but a lot of thoughts that go around within the mind. For a Scorpio individual, I think it would be apt to say that right now your mind is not at the best place that it could be. There are a lot of things that are going around within your mind. Because of this moon in Dhanishta in the 3rd house, you are thinking of certain things to a very deep extent. You're being assumptuous. You're thinking upon certain matters in a very, very technical way. Because of which I do see that your heart space is not well. You're not feeling well on daily basis. There are extreme moods, there are extreme mood swings, and along with that, there are extreme reactions. First of all, this Saturn is going to start affecting the health of your mother. So be careful with that. Ask your mother to get her reports checked, get her health checked, and be disciplinary with her health. At the same time, this is a timeline where you will have to compromise something when it comes to your mother, home, or your heart space. You have to again distance yourself. Set a boundary within yourself, around yourself. At the same time, this could be a time where you may invest a huge amount of money, either in the form of buying or purchasing gold, a property, a car. You might buy a second-hand car, most probably. But this time could lead to where your joint assets are going to excel, or this might even bring in ancestral property disputes. Ancestral, like some fight within your home, which will trigger the topics on how the money should be divided. How the money has to be, distributed. So there is something going around with that. On the other hand, for especially females with Scorpio ascendant, it could trigger pregnancy. It can give you pregnancy. I won't say it's the time of childbirth, but it's the time of initiation of pregnancy. Childbirth, I think it might happen after October this year, September and October this year. But having moon in the 3rd house, then Saturn 3rd from it, it's a lot of effort that you have to make for stabilizing your own self, your own thought process, because your own thoughts, your own thinking is actually creating problems. Whenever the 8th house gets activated, since Sun and Jupiter is traveling in your 8th house, it activates your 8th house. It makes you deal with what you have hidden within yourself. Your personality traits, your wisdom, hidden wisdom, you have to deal with all of those things. And you would see that so as to fulfill the karma which this retrograde Saturn has, you will have to use your wisdom, your dependability. And that is going to be one of the parts within the journey of your self-healing. of you acknowledging your past traumas. Okay? Although I do think at this time, your partner might become quite blunt, adamant, but also would require maximum amount of attention from you. And somehow you would turn cold when it comes to emotionally expressing yourself. So you need to seek a balance in both the situations. Or otherwise, your marriage or your relationships can suffer because of your personal problems. Okay, so now next we have Sagittarius. For Sagittarius individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the 4th house. This is the time for you to deal with your heart, deal with your childhood traumas. This 138 days are subject to bring in transformation within you and are going to bring in a shake within your stability. Then it would require you to work hard. You to put in your skills, put in your hard work into all the areas of your life so as to work on the stability again. This time could also lead to childbirth because of having certain placements, Jupiter and Jupiter and Sun in the 7th from your ascendant at the same time. But it definitely will make you deal with house related or home related disturbances. The best thing that you can do is connect to your spiritual and creative self. If you love music, go on, do something related to music, join a dancing group, do something related to that. If you are someone who is a educator, like most of the uh, Sagittarians are either guides, advisors, counselors, educators, this is your time to get in tuned with your advisory self. You have been giving advices to people, but now is the time when you give advice to yourself. There can be significant, turnaround with your relationships with either your neighbors or your siblings. So 3rd house is going to play a very important role in this Saturn retrograde. This Saturn retrograde is going to challenge your communication skills, is going to challenge your understanding towards what to communicate, when to communicate, how to communicate. Most of all, most of the complications and problems that you're going to have is because of your bluntness, because of your speech. When it comes to your finances, I do feel that you will be able to save and somehow you will be able to have fortunate time with your finances. But your mind is totally towards creating financial stability and towards dealing with the conflicts of the family, of the home. Your mother needs to keep a check on their health, and you need to keep a check on your emotional health, your self growth, self love. Okay. Now, next we have Capricorn. For Capricorn individuals, You have Saturn going retrograde in the third house, also activating the second house. If you have been a person who has been working really, really hard, but not getting the result, sorry, this would be the time when you're going to start getting results in regards of your efforts in monetary terms. There can be immense expenditure, especially emotional expenditure. There can be verbal conflicts with the spouse, with the partner. Whenever I see Moon and Mercury all together, either mutually aspecting or sitting together, and if I know that the person is married since a long time, and this is not, I'm talking about, specifically Capricorns, but I would say whenever I see this, I see that they just feel the curiosity to go outside of marriage. I just see that they just wants, they just are not meant for the boring old things, old marriage. And that's what marriage is all about. It cannot be happening all the time, right? So when Moon and Mercury is in your first and seventh axis, along with Rahu in the second, I do feel that you guys are going to feel the urge to get attention from others. And then in the existing things or existing relationship, if you have any, you might become quite manipulative, quite, you might have to even lie, right? So this also means that you're being quite an overthinker. You're overthinking on certain things, and that is basically leading you to this understanding that why I'm not being appreciated with my efforts. So that is creating verbal disputes within your relationships, for which you are trying to free yourself by going outside, by going away. Now, of course, your planetary positions here are going to matter the most, right? But at the same time, it's a brilliant time for you to learn something creative, and bring in discipline and good changes within your routine life. This Saturn can give you immense amount of money if you work hard according to that as well. It could bring in significant changes within your wealth. And definitely, oh, sorry, I'm just a bit sleepy. Oh my God, that I have to make this video, before at least 13th of July. So having Mercury, at the same time, having the seventh lord going into the ascendant, then Venus being trine from it. It's a time which can even align you towards your spiritual self and towards you creating a comfortable environment or comforts around you. So overall, it is a kind of chart which is showing me that you do want something to change. You want your life to have a meaning and have some change. Okay, but please do take care of your health, especially your dietary routine, like how routine, how what you eat, how you eat, that has to be taken care of because of digestive problems. Okay, and also problems related to your throat. Now next we have Aquarius. Already you are going through a very, very transformative phase, a very transformative time. Along with that, you have your Saturn going retrograde in the second house. Now, when Saturn comes into the second house, it slowly and gradually increases one's wealth. When it goes retrograde, it means now you have to again deal with your personality. Now, again, you have to deal with some loss situation or some expenditure, some losses. Loss of identity could also be one of the things. If you are an Aquarius ascendant, you have been past of all those, all of that drama in the past. All of that criticism, judgments, everyone pinning a point, just pinning points on you. You have been past of it. But now again, it would come. Again, for this retrograde period, people are blaming you. People are trying to demean you. And you are being in that rebel zone. You're being quite reactive about it, but also you're trying to think intelligently. But your anger, aggression is at the top of the world, because now you are like that, okay, this criticism did come in the last time, but I did not have the confidence to speak up, but now I have to speak up for myself. At the same time, there is moon in the 12th house. You feel as if you are feeling the emotion of loss or loss like situation, because of which you'll isolate yourself. You'll be like, enough of dealing with people. Now I have to think of my own. Now I have to sit alone, or I have to travel and see what I can do about my things, about my problems. Okay, so Saturn will again try to challenge you to test if whether or not you are independent and practical enough to fulfill your own desires. This is not the best time for your relationships. This Saturn coming, going retrograde, activating the first house, along with Mars being in the 7th with Ketu. This is not a best situation I see with love, but there can be a re-encounter. There can be a re-encounter. There can be a repetitive situation that can happen in love. But again, the outcome is about you getting blamed for it, basically. But trust me, this is one of the brilliant times in career that you can have. Brilliant times. It's a highly creative, highly innovative time period. I do see, if you go into, furnish your capabilities, your skills, you're going to do extremely well. This is your time to gain knowledge and then use it within your skills, within your work. And you will be well appreciated for that. At the same time, this could even trigger birth of a child. Okay, it could even trigger marriage. Marriage. I don't. No. I don't think so till the time Ketu is there. Even if something related to marriage is going towards, like you're going towards that situation, there can be a break. There can be a very, very transformative thing. Of course, the planetary placements are the first one to see. But according to this, it's a crucial time for your relationships. They're not at the healthiest stage. This is your time to deal with your finances, get done with your debts, and also look after your health. Overthinking is something which is constant. that I see for Aquariuses, because maybe it is activating the Sarasati again. Now, for Pisces individuals. For Pisces, Saturn is going retrograde in your ascendant. This is the time for you to heal your hidden fears, your hidden thought process. Saturn in the first house going retrograde is also activating the 12th house where Rahu is. It is triggering your fears. But this Saturn now says that you have to acknowledge it. You have to live the moments that it is bringing in so as to fight it back. There's a trouble. Either you get introduced yourself into a romantic relationship, or it's that you're just seeking attention from your social circle, from like trying to date, going for dates, and trying to find a partner through dating or through romantically expressing. But this retrograde Saturn for you over your moon might give you a less burden. You might feel that yes, a burden is a bit less of this Sadasati, but the financial burden is definitely going to be there. This this duration of retrograde, you will have to take care of certain expenses. You have to take care of certain money towards either going towards an investment, or that it's some money matters you'll have to deal with, and especially when it is about shares, speculations, investments. For some reason, I see Piscean people to be involved into gambling and betting also. Along with that, this is the time for you to change the dynamics within your home. So maybe the huge expenditure, the huge provision that we see is towards the home. Okay. So let me see what else. This retrogression can even bring in a relationship from a distance. Okay. Now, next we have Aries. Now, Aries individuals have Saturn retrograde in the 12th house. Definitely, Aries people require to heal themselves emotionally. You're not feeling good about your career. You want to make changes within your career and also within your residence. You want to make huge changes. You want to get something which is exciting for you, which helps you get a good growth and stabilize your careers. Overall, this is a timeline which can lead to massive gains, but for that you have to compromise with your overthinking self. This is not your time to go too much in depth into technicalities. It's your time to understand yourself, to work on your self growth. Saturn is going to activate the 11th house where Aquarius is and Rahu is there. It will let you, because of course Saturn is going retrograde, so your Sarasati would feel a bit relieved. You will feel that till October, I'm not feeling that burden I used to feel. Rather, I'm addressing all the issues. It's like that you did enter the first few months of your Sarasati and you realized what Sarasati could do to you. Now this Saturn has moved away to test if you mend your ways, if you mend your ways and mend the way you deal with things. If you have mended, it will go on. and give you much more, I would say positive, but much more opportunities. If it realizes that there's no growth, there's um, no changes that you have made within yourself, it will continue to give you more responsibilities, and especially the financial ones. There could be a significant expenditure also on travel. You might even, this is quite different, but you might even want to travel to meet a long distance partner or a long distance friend. But this, sorry, but these placements can definitely work on towards you fulfilling your own desires by your own efforts. Okay. Now, next we have the sign of Taurus. So now for Taurus individuals, Saturn is going retrograde in the 11th house, also activating the 10th house where Rahu is there. So Taurus people do have a very good time when it is about your career. But let me tell you, this all of these things, Rahu in the 10th, Saturn in the 11th, Jupiter, Sun in the 2nd, and Moon in the 9th. This actually can activate your marriage, your relocation, birth of a child. It will basically overall activate a significant event of your life. A significant change would come in within your life, and you would suddenly feel as a burst of fortune, or it could be that there is some conflicts that you have to deal with the joint assets of the family, and then you'll be able to get something out of that share of yours. But this works extremely well on a career point of view. But this does tell that this is good for the people who are into business. If you are into job or job situations, you would want to change into business. You would now prefer your own business rather than working under someone. This is showing me a very, very adamant chart, a very, very strong, determined, personality wise chart. So use your vocal skills, use your creativity, use your artistic understanding. And Moon in the 9th house, definitely all the things happening in your life currently are making you learn, are making you learn certain lessons. You need to ask your mother to keep a check on her health. Okay. Next, we have the sign of Gemini. So for Gemini individual, Saturn is going going retrograde into the 10th house. There can be certain things you have to deal with repetitively when it comes to your career, so as to get a higher status or stabilize within your career. You would require to learn something. You would require to add on something to your qualification. And for that matter, it is required for you to learn or get yourself a guru. There has to be a guru. There has to be a person who is going to guide you with this process. Now, I do see along with this, this is actually a time where you'll eventually feel that I am being responsible for certain changes, certain events happening in my life, and I have to take the responsibility. So I have to shut my emotions down. This can bring in a significant change or a significant event within your career, which could lead you towards progressing within your career. Personally, on a personal level, Jupiter's sun coming into the first house, quadrant from Saturn, it calls for compromises, but that those compromises would be appreciated and would be valued. But be very aware and careful with your anger, aggression, and your reactions. For this retrogression period, you might even feel loss of love. Okay, overall, you're getting the 7th and the 10th Lord in the first house and the 3rd Lord in the first house. Definitely, there are a lot of thoughts that are going around within your mind. There are a lot of things that you want to happen, but remember, it's always better to go one step at a time. You will also have to deal with the money of the family or the joint assets of the family or of yourself. Partner can also be quite reactive during this time. Now, lastly, we have the sign of Cancer. Now, here we have Saturn going retrograde in the 9th house. Trust me on this. Saturn, when goes retrograde in the 9th house, you deal with sudden changes. You can either have a sudden lottery, you can have a sudden fall in your finances or in your financial condition or in your fortune. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that there is a fall. Rather, I do see there's growth coming in, but there's a huge expenditure at the same time. I do strongly feel for all the Cancerians, they must follow what they're passionate about when it comes to their careers, when it comes to their productivity. I do see that you're going to deal with problems and complications within your partnerships, within your marriage, or with other people. You're going to feel conflicted with your emotions. You're going to learn your lessons through sudden events happening in your marriage, in your partnership, or sudden things happening within your wealth situations. I always say whenever Ketu comes into the 2nd house in the transit, it might make you dependent upon other people for help, financial help, or you are the one to help financially to the family, to the relatives. It could be anyone. But this is a time within which you will feel quite youthful. You'll feel quite quite young, quite immature as well. So you want to have a fun time, but life has other plans for you. It has the plans of you basically learning what is the importance of stability, what is the importance of communication. Okay, so it's definitely a learning time for every Cancerian. And also I I do feel there are struggles with money, but those struggles with money are because you're planning something big. Maybe you're trying to save for something big. So once you save the focused amount that you want, you're going to put it somewhere in investments. And this could also initiate your long distance travel. Definitely, you will be traveling a lot during this retrograde period, and even it calls for your relocation. Okay, so just be mindful of sudden events happening in your life and try to observe more rather than speaking more when there is a situation which might be argumentative or might be heated. Okay, guys. So this was my analysis about Saturn retrograde. It was a generic analysis. I tried to cover up for every ascendant. So of course, your placements, your natal placements matter a lot, right? So please see them, see which planets are getting the transit of Saturn, which planets Saturn is activating by sitting over that house or by being retrograde, and for the planets who are existing in the Aquarius sign. Okay, so we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.